Time for the main event!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So there's this massive news that has dropped for physical games, and I want to talk about how this could affect wrestling games going forward because, well, I got some games out here, my physical collection. I have a lot more downstairs. There's a bunch behind me on the shelf, as you can see. Tons of Switch games, tons of PlayStation games. I've been collecting physical games for like 30 years over time. Obviously, I've traded in, I've sold, I've bought, all that kind of stuff. I have a PS2 down here, a modded one, which is really cool because it's region free. Anyway, why am I talking about the Sony killing physical games issue on my wrestling channel? Well, let's get into this because I've wrote down a bunch of stuff. I did a little research here, and I'm terrified what could happen with my wrestling games that I've bought in both physically and digitally, because going forward, what's to stop Sony from doing the things that we're about to talk about? And before we go any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a like down below. Alright, here we go. So, number one, I kind of broke them up into sections here. My number one fear with this for wrestling games is let's say when we go to a new platform, let's say it's a clean slate. Let's say the PlayStation 6 cannot play PS5 games both physically or digitally because they want everybody to rebuy everything into their new digital age that they're about to go into. What if there's no way to play our older games? Let's say you want to pop in 2K19 and there's no way to play it because you can't play your digital games on the future store, or it just because it doesn't take discs and you only own it physically. Well, you can no longer play that on the PlayStation 6. You can no longer download the DLC because it's been blocked off. So think about that. If you've been collecting wrestling games physically, and they're all out of print now, obviously, they've all been taken off the storefronts. If you want to go play WWE 2K19, WWE 2K20, 22, 23, whatever, you can no longer play those games on the PlayStation 6 when it comes out. Unless, of course, you've purchased it and it's on your digital storefront, right? So just think about that. All these old wrestling games that we have physically, like my shelf that I showed off at the beginning of the video, you can't play them anymore. They're stuck on old gen hardware, just like all the old wrestling games are now stuck on PS3, 360, all that kind of stuff because of licensing issues. That really sucks. That'll lead people to the internet to emulate, and, well, people have done awesome updates and stuff with older wrestling games. Anyway, honestly, I feel like the lifeblood of wrestling games is emulation, because we got one wrestling game that comes out every year, and that's it. Sure, there's other ones in the works that have been hitting brick walls over and over again, getting delayed and all sorts of stuff, like Ultra Pro Wrestling, the Wrestling Code. I think Ultra Violence Pro Wrestling got canceled. There's so many wrestling games that were in the works that have gone completely radio silent. So who knows what the future is, and now that there's no physical media that's going to be here in the future unless Sony backtracks, how are we going to play these games on future generations of hardware? That's what scares me. Especially like our WWE games that are sports titles that get removed every year or every couple of years. Yeah, collecting wrestling games or collecting the 2K games is not going to be possible anymore unless you buy everything digitally. Who knows? We'll get to the next thing here in a second. So leading into number two, as what we've been talking about here, not being able to play old games, they have the right, it's in the licensing agreement, to revoke your license to the game at any moment. So if it's an all-digital storefront, and there's no way to play the game physically, they can literally remove it from your account to incentivize you to buy the new game. Now, I don't think they would do that because it's like suicide. Let's say once it's removed from the storefront and they remove it from their library because they have the legal right to do so. It's in the terms of service when you sign up and buy digital games on the PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch. This isn't unique just to, heck, any digital storefront. Movies, music. I've had tons of music get removed from my library from the old Apple iTunes, the reason why I stopped buying music is because half my freaking songs I purchased, granted they were only 99 cents a piece, were all removed. And when that started happening, I stopped buying digital songs. I was like, no way. I'm not wasting my money on this anymore. That even happened with a couple movies I bought. I didn't buy a lot, but I think I bought Scrubs on Amazon. I bought the entire, was it first season, because I wanted to see how it looked and ran on there. And then a couple months later, they lost the license to Scrubs, and it got removed from my account. And then they added it back later, and it showed the purchase button again. I'm like, I already purchased this. Why do I have to repurchase it? Well, it's because the license got removed, and then they got it back. So you have to buy it again if you want to watch it. That's what could happen with our wrestling games. They could literally remove old wrestling games from your account. Let's say you bought 2K20, let's say 2K22, right? Let's say we're on 2K26, 27, and you want to go back and play 2K22 because you remember there's a cool feature in there that you really like that hasn't been improved upon or fixed or got broken in a newer game or removed. Well, you go back to your account and it's removed. They could do that. I'm not saying they will, but they absolutely could do that and remove your old wrestling games so you're stuck playing whatever the newest one or two are. You might be stuck playing 2K25 or 2K26. Who knows? This is what my biggest fear is with this whole situation with PlayStation. What's to stop them from totally controlling everything? And pretty much, I mean, gaming's going to die in the next few years anyway if things continue. So, anyway, that's the second thing. Now, the third thing that freaks me out about this is, what if you lose your account? What if some hacker steals your account, or you get banned for some random reason and you lose your entire account? All your game purchases, everything. You'll have to start with a clean slate. You won't have access to those wrestling games anymore because you can't. They're not on the service anymore to re-download, to repurchase, because they were all tied to your account that you lost. So let's say you have a huge collection of wrestling games. Like for me, I always buy the wrestling games because of the channel, because they get them early, digitally. But then once they go on sale, I always buy them physically, so I have a physical copy of the game sitting on the shelf behind me that we showed in the beginning of the video. The only one I haven't bought so far is 2K25 because I bought that game like 4 times and I'm waiting for it to find it for like $10 or something used because there's no way I'm giving them any more money for that game. But I have every single wrestling game from the original SmackDown all the way up to 2K24. I have Def Jam. I have all these wrestling games behind me. I showed you at the beginning of the video physically. I have some Japanese wrestling games like Wrestle Kingdom. I got the Ultimate Muscle wrestling games that are imports. I got every single wrestling game that I could possibly find physically because I like collecting wrestling games, right? And I like having that physical backup because just in case something happens or they do remove it from the service, I still have a physical copy to play. So that's another thing. If you lose your account and you have all these wrestling games on your digital account, well, they're gone. You can never play them again. That's a huge, scary issue. Number 4, as I was kind of leaning into here, when it comes to all the platforms, I feel Sony has the worst security of all 3. They've been hacked multiple times. People are getting their accounts stolen, hijacked. It's ridiculous. If I lose my account on my PlayStation, I'm done. I will never, ever come back to PlayStation. In fact, I'm pretty much done as it is if they don't keep physical media alive, because of all the storefronts to go fully digital on, Sony is the last one that I would pick. I would never pick Sony first. I'd rather go to Xbox because they have much better security, or Steam. And since we're all leaning towards PC anyway, might as well just go to PC. I have a really powerful PC I bought right before all the RAM stuff went crazy, mainly for the channel, but I might just start playing wrestling games on here. I got plenty of storage left in there. Mostly just use it to create videos. I have a couple PC games that I play here and there. Nothing crazy, like kind of like Ark Survival Evolved and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I'll probably just go PC or something. I love the simplicity of consoles. That's why I've been using consoles for so long, and that's why most of my content comes from the PlayStation, recording off of my capture card. But if this is going to be the future of all, like I said, of all the consoles that I would go fully digital on, I'd rather even go fully digital on Nintendo than the PlayStation because of their crappy security. I have my entire account like totally blacked out and nobody can look at it and all that kind of stuff because I'm terrified that someday, because I have so much history on my account, that someone's going to steal it. And that terrifies me because I would lose a lot of stuff on there. 20 years of trophies, game saves, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that terrifies me. And like I said, of all the consoles, Sony's the last one I would pick to go all digital. Number 5. If they do go fully digital, Currently, we can buy games from PlayAsia and other import games and play them on our PlayStations and with no issues, right? You don't have to log into their storefronts or anything. You do if you want their DLC because the game's DLC is locked regionally. But if you want regional games, they could easily region lock the console to where you can't access other storefronts. Let's say there's a game that doesn't release in your region, or a certain version of the game that doesn't release in your region, and you want to play that version of the game. Well, you're stuck playing your region's game only if they decide to region lock your storefront to wherever you got your console, because they're already doing region locked consoles to get cheaper sales for Japan. They have a region only version, a region locked version of the PlayStation 5, because people were buying it over there because it was cheaper and importing it over here. It was cheaper to do that than to buy it here. So they have a region locked Japanese PlayStation to where it only works with, Japanese games and all that kind of stuff. So that's crazy to me. They could easily do that to lock out storefronts to make sure you only get whichever version is in your region. That would be terrible for wrestling games going forward. Let's say someone finally makes a cool import wrestling game and you can't play it anymore. Like, let's say they make another Fire Pro Wrestling and it's only available in Japan. Well, you can't play it. You have to either import a Japanese PlayStation 5 and try to, unless you can read Japanese, you got to try to figure out the menus and all that kind of stuff. So, this could really hurt PlayAsia.com, which is where you get a lot of cool physical import games and stuff like that. Because I think most of their purchases and stuff are either for the Switch or for the PlayStation, because Xbox, nobody buys anything on Xbox physically anymore. But anyway, you see what I'm saying here? There's a huge ripple effect that's going to happen if they don't backtrack and make physical games again. That's what I'm talking about on this channel. I want to do my part and try to help physical media stay alive because, well, you saw my shelf. I got a huge bunch of shelves downstairs. If you don't believe me, sound off the comments below and I'll post pictures on the timeline. It's just... This is crazy. This feels like the end of gaming, like in general, like prices, no physical media, all this stuff, terrible games, live service games. It's like bad decision after bad decision, mass layoffs. The crash is literally here, and I don't know what can save it. Number 6 is they could potentially have no more sales, like they have their PS Plus sales and stuff like that. They control the stores, so they wouldn't have to put anything on sale. They could literally keep it at full price forever, or just put 5% off because there's nowhere else to get it. There's nowhere else to buy it. There's no Amazon, there's no GameStop, there's no competitive platform to purchase the games on, like Steam. Steam has other PC storefronts, but Steam always has these amazing deals. I don't know if Sony would see them as competition and try to keep the sales going, because I will say this, Sony does have pretty good sales, but will they continue that if they have a full control lock on your games digitally? I don't know. That's something we'll have to wait and see. Number 7, let's say you want to play an older game that was only available digitally, but got removed from the store before you bought it, and without the secondhand market, the game is now lost forever. So what I'm trying to say here is, let's say you skipped 2K27, right? And you bought 2K29, and you heard, 2K27 had this really cool feature that got removed in 2K29, and you want to go back and play it. Well, 2K27 has been removed from the storefront, and because there's no physical copy to go purchase on the secondhand market, it's gone. You can never play it again. It's removed. All the DLC, all the wrestlers. Let's say it had your favorite wrestler in it or something, or your favorite cast, wrestlers, roster, and it's gone. It's gone forever. That could happen, and probably will happen. So that's another thing. If you don't buy the game day one or within the window before it gets removed, you can no longer ever play that game. Killing games preservation. So that's crazy. Number 8, this could lead to more censorship. They could update the game at any time and censor things whether you like it or not. Perfect example on this channel, I cover Dead or Alive, and if you know about the physics in the games, and one of its major selling points is the fan service, because no other game does that, well, they could easily censor that if they wanted to, because they have full control over the digital storefronts. So that's a thing. Now, my closing thoughts on this, because we've gone a little long here, but I just want to drive this point home, and I want to make sense with wrestling games. I'm mostly talking about wrestling games because this is a wrestling game channel. They've already delisted Dead or Alive 6 base game on the PlayStation, so That's another thing. Luckily, they left up all the DLC, so you can still purchase the DLC because it's compatible with the new game. But let's say you wanted to play the older version of it because it has certain features you want. Same thing with wrestling games. Well, it's been removed, and if you didn't buy it, you're SOL. You can't buy it anymore. But because it has a physical copy, you can still go buy the physical copy and play it that way. So you're not completely lost. But in the future, PS6 generation, you're screwed. If they remove it from the storefront and you never purchased it because you're waiting for a sale, you just didn't have the money at the time, you're SOL. That's the future that everybody's fighting to stop, if that makes sense. So regardless of if you buy digital or physical, Sony killing off physical discs hurts us either way. Imagine wanting to load up an older wrestling game, but they removed it from your library because they want you to buy the new one instead. Like we talked about earlier, it's literally the death of collecting and games preservation, and I'll drop the platform if they don't backtrack and keep making physical games. I have been playing mostly on PlayStation since the PS1. When the 360 came out, I switched to Xbox 360 because the PS3 was ridiculously overpriced. It didn't have achievements, all that kind of stuff, but I eventually came back to PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. I would have stuck with Xbox if they didn't do the stupid Xbox One reveal with always online DRM, which is pretty much where we're at now. And if the Xbox One backtracked that and got rid of the Kinect and had full backwards compatibility at launch, I would still be playing on Xbox to this day. I never would have left. And I was going to switch back to Xbox during the Xbox Series X launch and the first couple of years because I wasn't really feeling it with the PlayStation exclusives and how they were doing things. Plus, the PlayStation was, in the early days, was very fragile. I felt like the thing was going to break at any moment. The Xbox was rock solid. The games were rock solid. They had really good, a couple of first-party games, like Halo Infinite. I kept waiting for the split-screen co-op, which got canceled. They just had one miss after another. And Starfield. It was a fun game. It just wasn't that 10-10 game that we were expecting. So I feel like that was a swan song for the Series X consoles. And I was literally about to switch because I liked how Xbox did everything. I like how it tracked your games. I liked the achievements. I've always liked achievements. I think they're really cool. I like how they had their ecosystem in the storefront. You get points that you can still redeem. Sony has removed their reward system. Nintendo has removed their reward system for purchasing games. Microsoft's the only one that does that. Not even Steam does that. And I was literally this close to switching. And then all of a sudden, Microsoft gave up and started putting their games on the competition. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, they're about to go turn into Sega. I guess I'll stick with PlayStation because, well, Microsoft gave up. Hopefully, tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow, or no, Monday. Hopefully Monday isn't an entire catastrophe because of all the layoffs that are about to happen and a bunch of studio closures. We'll have to wait and see until Monday, but if Monday is not as bad as I think it's going to be, who knows? I might switch to Xbox, or I might just say screw it and finally, after all these years, go full PC and play on PC, and then have the Switch for Pokemon because I love Pokemon. Anyway, how do you feel about all this? Sound off the comments below. Are you a physical or digital buyer, or you kind of do a little bit of both like I do? I'm mostly physical, as you can see, is my shelf and everything behind me. I have like 200 freaking Switch games and probably 1,000 PlayStation games across all platforms. I like having that physical media. It's nice. Anyway, thank you for watching, and as always, stay frosty.
Delicious!